welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ.
And I'm Chip.
And boy, do we have the news for you. I'm a little fed up with pay-as-you-throw, but again, the city has to make sure that they're going to hit everybody and their brother for every dime they can possibly get from you, the city taxpayer. Now the city wants to tack on a $100 fee for dumpsters and $25 fees for this and $25 for fees for that, but they're not going to go through the city council. They're going to try to get it through the Board of Health. You know, this is getting to be absolutely ridiculous. Well, we have to make it fair, according to Kenny Pacheco. And this man is taking more bullets right now for the mayor that if he drank a glass of water, it would pour out of him. This is getting to be really sad and really troublesome. Seems like the revolution has begun in Fall River, and the mayor's not happy. I mean, Chip, tell me, what do we do? What can we do?
The first thing you do is take your trash bag, which you got in the mail. This is mine, 15-gallon. This is our trash bag. And you remember what this is really costing you. This isn't costing you 75 cents or $1 or $2 or whatever price they fix. Ultimately, it might be $5. Who knows, a couple of years down the road. The thing is, in the city of Fall River, the way we do business is we totally ignore the people who pay the freight, the taxpayer. Again, businesses are being impacted now, homes are being impacted, fee upon fee upon fee, yet we have carnivals that don't pay fees. We have, now I've been told that the public area alongside the new facility that used to be the Regatta, what is it, the Cove?
It's now called the Cove, yes.
It's now called the Cove, has been allowed to use city land to park cars. Now, I think a while back, that did happen at one point in time where the mayor leased some land to a private vendor who, of course, was a friend of his for $50. Not this mayor, it was a previous mayor. I believe it was Lambert. But again, this is the outrageous way this city is run. We allow people to get prime land for parking, and we charge them a token fee so we can say they can use that land, yet we're taxed to death on our properties, on our dumpsters. The next thing we're going to do is be taxed on our air. And it's the way they do it. They don't even bring it now before the council because they're afraid because of the public outrage that we have here. They're afraid, so they're going to do it through the Board of Health, which again is circumventing the process.
I don't know what we're supposed to do anymore. I mean, we have people on Facebook, social media, calling everybody and their brother down when facts are being presented. And we have a gentleman out there who is saying that we are not presenting facts. And I take that very personally because we double check our facts. And when I'm wrong, the show knows, I will come out on the show and say, CJ, you screwed up, but we're not. And Mr. St. Pierre has gone out on a limb to call us liars. And actually, Chip, you know, you're a disgrace to your former job, according to Mr. St. Pierre.
Well, I don't believe I disgraced my former job. I probably got as many, if not more, commendations than anybody else. My ability and my expertise as a firefighter, I don't think is really in question here. It was good enough for the mayor to try to hire me as a consultant. So I think Mr. St. Pierre, although we could easily just say Mr. St. Pierre is irrelevant, but that's where I don't agree with people who say people like this are irrelevant. They want to bury their head in the sand. But I think Mr. St. Pierre is relevant because he's everything that's wrong with Fall River. He's a former city employee, supposedly. Now, he probably kissed 17 miles of political butt to get his job. I didn't. I took a competitive exam to get out of fire department. I took a competitive exam for lieutenant. I took a competitive exam for captain. Took a competitive exam for chief. And guess what? They tried to not make me a captain, not make me a chief because I was a union head who was vocal and opposed things that were wrong. Well, guess what, Mr. St. Pierre? If you want to come on our show on Friday, I'm sure CJ and I will be glad to have you as a guest, and you can tell us what you've done for this community, because I'm going to digress. There are a lot of people out there that don't know what we do when we're not on this show, or have done. And they say we're negative and we're naysayers, we never do anything that's positive. Well, I know CJ works in soup kitchens. He does a lot of work. He does a lot of work as a nurse, and he does it for people. He helps people all the time. I was on the board of the Salvation Army for many, many years. I brought turkeys at Christmas and Thanksgiving to people who had virtually nothing, who lived in this city. And I got a first-hand look at the people who have virtually nothing. I was on the Heritage State Park Board. I was on the Fall River Regional Task Force. I was on a board that basically designed all the new schools in the city and where they were. The Education 2000 Committee, part of the Fall River Regional Task Force. All these, by the way, were non-paid positions for the good of the community. So we don't only complain. We work positively, and our complaints are really positive. We're trying to make a positive change. And it's people like you, Mr. St. Pierre, the political lackeys, the obsequious butt kissers that live a life in the shadows and then condemn people who have the courage to get up. And if you disagree with my opinion, that's fine. But if you want to attack my character and what I've done on this city, I challenge you to come on a show and sit between the two of us and try to impugn our character face to face. And with that, I will now make you irrelevant because I'm done talking about you.
Well, I will say one thing. Fall River is definitely looking up. All right, I'm lying. When the city of Fall River and Ken Fiola and the mayor want to redevelop old mills into what they call market rent properties or modest income properties, that's just a keyword for low income housing. The city wants to take out all these properties, the mills, that aren't paying taxes, because we know, God knows, you can't get a permit for anything because they haven't paid their taxes. And they want to make them into housing. And they're going to use state tax dollars and state tax credits, and of course, Fall River tax credits, to make that. Fall River needs more low-income housing like it needs Mayor Will Flanagan. Did I say that?
Or the Ebola virus.
Oh, the Ebola virus, yeah, which is getting very popular right now in Africa and other parts of the country, of the world. But this is what the city wants to do. And Ken Fiola has said over and over again, we can afford it.
Well, there again, CJ, there you go again, trying to not be factual.
I know.
The fact that it was in we have an article right here that says it, and the fact that we do check our figures, and when we're talking about whisper campaigns or something we heard, we clearly say this. As a matter of fact, we were going to discuss some of the proposed fees that the Board of Health was going to look at. We have copies. We just got them this morning. The problem is they are read-only documents. We have to transfer them so we could bring them here. But rather than try to guess, we're going to wait until the next show, and we have the documents in front of us, and we will read them verbatim. And when we do, as we always do, we will say, this is where it's from, this is who said it, and if we say it, we'll take credit for it. The fact is, if we say something, as I will say today, I got a rumor this morning that there's another fiasco brewing in the Housing Authority. Supposedly, David Sullivan, the highly qualified head of the Fall River Housing Department, who got his job from Will Flanagan, because he helped Will Flanagan carry the North End, has given two of his campaign workers massive pay raises, and hired another 2 and tried to put them in supervisory positions, but he ended up having to put them in maintenance. We will expand on this on another show after we get the names and after we get the full details. But this right now is something that one of our informants has given us. So rather than somebody say we're fabricating this, we're going to make sure that this in fact did happen, and one of his former campaign workers got a $100 a week pay raise. That's what we were told, and I'm sure they got a pay raise. Is it 100? No, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's 50. Maybe it's 200. But when we give you the facts, we will say these are the facts. But right now, I urge all of you to check into these rumors, because most of the time these rumors are true, and our facts are our facts. And to get back to the subject, yeah, just what we need: more low-income housing, because whatever code word you use, it doesn't make any difference. It means we're bringing in people who are going to be living in subsidized housing, and that word subsidized is the key. It means they don't have a lot of money. They're not going to be able to support businesses. And again, we're in a quagmire of having a city with people that live on or below the poverty level.
Yeah, and for the city to then turn around and say that we're going to give tax credits to developers, which, by the way, we know are already chosen for these projects, just says, Fall River, you're not worth anything. And that's what this mayor is doing to us. That's what this city council is doing to us. That's what this housing authority is doing to us. Why do they keep sending them here? Because we keep making more and more housing available. And they have to be occupied, or we lose the money. And talking about occupied and losing money, the Flanagan administration and the Fall River City Council are discussing a 5-year, $51.3 million capital improvement project, which we have to bond for.
Bond, another bond.
Another bond. And things like buildings in the cemeteries, money to improve the Department of Community Maintenance by making a central garage. And we're talking millions and millions of dollars to do this. It's going to cost us $2 million just to draft a plan to do this. The plan includes the purchase of 5 additional police cruisers next year at $175,000. And in the following fiscal years, the city would purchase 10 vehicles per budget, averaging approximately $400,000 annually. That's actually pretty smart. It's about the only thing that's smart in the budget. But again, we have to look at, why are we doing this? Why? Because we're playing catch up. The mayor's going to play catch up in 5 years with $51.3 million that have to be bonded, instead of including it in the budget and doing it on a regular and recurring basis. This is getting to be ridiculous. $100,000 would be used to repave the roads in Oak Grove in the cemetery. Can you believe that? $100,000 to repave the roads there because they haven't been done for years. And the $4.1 million to redevelop the central garage and the Department of Community Maintenance complex on Lewiston Street. The incinerator. I mean, come on. Let's look at this money that we're going to spend, that we need to bond for. Again, bond. And the thing that they miss on this is that part of this money is for recycling. Well, Mr. Mayor, you have your pay-as-you-throw program, and that's an enterprise fund. And an enterprise fund is supposed to be self-sufficient. And that means all expenses, all, A-L-L, all expenses are supposed to be covered by your enterprise fund. Oh, wait a minit. It's a quasi.
DJ, that's right. You have to get
you got to get the facts right. It's like
we
quasi.
have a quasi-government. The fact is, again, we never do anything. Nobody gets it. The city council doesn't get it. Here we are again. Well, when did we do the budget? A few months ago.
Not even.
Not even a few months
Not
ago.
even.
So we'll give them a couple of months. But
get your
if
facts
you go
straight.
online, don't take my word. Go online. type in the city of Newton, look at their budget. When you look at their budget, every department has a section in the budget of everything they accomplished in the current fiscal year with their budget that they were working under, and everything that's projected for the following year, all capital outlay projects. It's like you and I have to do, like any business has to do. If you own a business and you're going to expand, you have to put the cost of that expansion into your projected costs of doing business the following year when you set your budget. You can't say, well, I'm going to build a $2 million building next year, but I'm not going to put it in my budget. I'm going to make up my budget, and then we'll figure out how we're going to get the $2 million later. And in your home, you can't do that. If you have to put a roof on your house, you have to say, well, it's going to cost me X amount of dollars next year to put a roof on. I'm going to have to see what I have to do and what I can tighten my belt on to free up that kind of money, or how I can get the money to do this. It's a necessary thing. I'm not saying some of these things aren't necessary, but what I'm saying is they should have been part of the budget. But the problem is, we were 16 million with the budget they presented. If they put this 51 million in, we would have been 66 million in the hole, and nobody would have believed it, and we would have went into receivership. How can we do this less than 2 months after we presented a budget, say we need to do all these things, and these department heads are getting pay raises and big money to run a department, and they submitted budgets that weren't accurate with the costs that they were going to incur? I mean, $200,000 to develop new grave sites. To develop, how do you develop a grave site?
I don't know, but you know what I think the best part of this budget is? The absolute best part of this budget? Not the $5 million parking garage for the waterfront, the $2 million waltzing water project. $2 million to cause water to jump in the air to music. I mean, come on, $2 million for waltzing water?
Look, we got the fountain on the Highland Park, which is 3 blocks away from another park. You know our mayor loves water.
Obviously.
He loves water. He loves fountains, and he loves waltzing water. And who knows? You know, Bud Light might decide to have. We might have water fire on the waltzing water.
Hey,
and
I think the waltzing water, and this is a Ken Fiola project, by the way, the waltzing water. I think the waltzing water project will go great with the Carol Fiola project of LED lights on the Braga Bridge.
Yeah. I mean, I can see all the yuppies from Fall River sitting on watching the waltzing water, eating a little quiche and maybe some and sipping on some nice vintage wine. Yes, that's definitely good for fall. I mean, that's like putting lipstick on a pig, people. I can't, this is just, I mean, it's beyond ludicrous, some of the things that we hear in this city. We can't pay our bills. We're going to give people who are going to develop, who are going to work on these apartments that we don't need a tax break, but we can't give the taxpayer a tax break.
Hey,
what is wrong with this picture?
Well, I mean, come on, there can't be anything wrong with the picture. A city councilor, take a wild guess. I will give you 2 guesses to guess which city councilor thinks this is a wonderful idea. Because, you know, some of them you might not be able to do today, but they're great. She thinks that there are a lot of good projects in the plan, and it's important to do them.
Yeah, well, let me guess. She. You mean the she that has never, ever voted against the mayoral initiative, regardless of what? If we're going to build a chimney to the moon, Pat Casey would say that's a great idea. You know, it is just, I mean, it's mind-boggling, the things that they do in this city. You know, if you're on a beer budget, you can't drink champagne. Forget about the waltzing water. Forget about half of this garbage, and let's try to give some relief to people who can't afford to live.
You know, you might think that this was Las Vegas or something. Waltzing water? That's Bellagio.
Bellagio, yeah.
Come on, let's get real.
Maybe we can have the light shows. And
yeah, I mean,
maybe you should have a volcano right at Government Center.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, great ideas, wonderful ideas, but can we fix the problems first and then go?
CJ, come on. You actually want to fix our problems? You know what? You know what? We've got a new slogan for this city. Let them eat cake. Let the poor people eat cake. We don't care if they don't have food. Let them eat cake. Let the rich people have their waltzing water. Let the people that get the $100 a week pay raises have waltzing water, and then we can have, you know, dancing fire and waltzing water, and who knows what else we can have.
I don't know. It's getting to be a little, you know, fabulous around here. I'll tell you right now.
Oh yeah. I mean, we are going to rival Las Vegas. Let's face it. We're going to have the Olympics.
Yep.
You know, maybe we'll get the World Cup.
Yep.
I mean, who knows? I mean,
Spindle City Festival?
Spindle City Festival, run by someone who has a proven track record of
failure.
Destroying every festival he's ever taken care of. So let's stay on the path for all you Flanaganites. Oh, by the way, I saw a picture on Facebook of, shows how delusionary some of these people are, with our mayor, our illustrious mayor, running a line making machine.
Oh, the painter.
The painter. Now, Painter Willie Photo Flanagan. That's my new name.
Yeah,
Photo
exactly.
Flanagan. Photo Flanagan. And then somebody wrote underneath, what, he's a boy, talk about political BS. It's like, hands-on mayor. Hands-on my ass. All right, he's got a pair of Bruno Mali shoes on. He took off his sport coat. He's got a white shirt, a tie, and he's got a pair of $50 pants on and Bruno Mali shoes. And he's standing holding the handles of the painting machine. And you political obsequious lackeys are going to tell me he's a hands-on mayor. The only thing he's got hands on is his steering wheel when he's driving to Providence.
I hear you. And, you know, you have to laugh because when Mike Mioza did the hearings on waste management, one of the companies came forward and had talked about how they're building a totally modern separation facility, which is scheduled to open very shortly, as a matter of fact. And the city now, included in the $51 million budget, they want to build a $9 million state-of-the-art trash separation facility to have other communities come here to dump their trash. We just got rid of that problem. And the funny part about it is, over the past week, if you've been monitoring social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, or any of the other things that are out there, the mayor has posted no less than 10 or 12 selfies. A selfie is a self picture, for those people watching that don't know it, of him doing wonderful things. But they're all with children. You know why? In my opinion, they're all with children because they're the only ones that don't care. He's giving me a lollipop. He's giving me ice cream. I don't care.
Yeah.
He's got a sign in front of the city's new soapbox derby coming to North Park, because, you know, that's going to generate tons of business.
Hundreds of thousands of people are going to come to the soapbox looking for the crash.
And I have to say, truly, we know that the monies spent in the city are spent effectively, because the gentleman taking all the mayor's pictures is a gentleman by the name of Ralph Rowe, who lost a city council election, and he blamed the bridge in New Bedford. He lost by a couple of votes because of the bridge. It was the bridge's fault. It was the bridge's fault. And this man is paid for out of a federal Department of Justice grant to correlate reports between the major cities of Bristol County, Taunton, Attleboro, New Bedford, and Fall River. And this man goes around the city of Fall River with the mayor and takes pictures of him at Dunkin' Donuts getting a coffee, or standing on his knee with, you know, a child, or at a restaurant with a bunch of children. I mean, that's where this Department of Justice grant is going. I think that's perfect use of federal funds.
Or buying a trash bag for
at
pay
Stop
as
and
you
Shop.
throw when he doesn't where he supposedly lives. Don't use them, but they will have a fee now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
They will have a fate.
This is you-
But, you know, look, let's face it. The mayor has learned something from Buddy Cianci. You know, he's got a lot of people that are coming on who are sophisticated political operatives. And they're telling him that this is the way you do it. You take pictures of yourself and you make these little statements, hands-on mayor. You know, look at him. He's in the truck, in the snowplow. Wow. You know, you got hired to be the mayor. Be the mayor. You got somebody in charge of community maintenance. You got people in charge of the fire department. You don't need to be on stings. We know this is all. These are all photo ops. It's all politics. And you know something? That stuff may work in other places, but the people in Fall River. I mean, come on, Jesus. And if you're going to take a picture, take off your Bruno Mali shoes. You know, you're gonna paint lines, dress up like a line painter. Don't look like you got one of your lackeys holding your sport coat while you stand there, get the shot, and then leave. But you push it 1.5 feet, and now you're well. Maybe that's what you're gonna do when you get booted out. Because I think the rumor is there is a meeting on the recall.
I did hear that, and it's interesting because again, the recall process, which we thought died, we thought that it was just a lot of hot air and bull. The bull came out of the china shop after breaking it down and knocked down the doors and said, "We're going to kick some butt." And I guess the date is Tuesday, August 5th. Interesting that that's a week before the city council meeting. And it's at 7 p.m. at the Elks Lodge. So it should be interesting to see. And it was secretive for such a long time, and people started complaining about, why make it so secret? Are you afraid the mayor's going to show up? And one of the people who is very out front about his statements, who appeared on this show on Friday, or the Monday show for you people who watched it on cable, said very clearly, if the mayor wants to come, I'll debate him right there in front of everybody. So, Mr. Mayor, you have an invitation to the Elks Lodge on August 5th to meet your accusers, for the lack of a better expression.
Yeah,
and
well,
I think that's going to be interesting.
I'm sure that's going to be a lively meeting, and we will be there.
Yes, we will.
You know, we will be there. We will be at that meeting, and we will say we are not the people who are initiating this, but obviously, as an individual who attempted to do it was again blocked by the fact that they make you go to court for everything. Hopefully, they'll have the resources and ability this time to force the city into getting the petitions out, and we can let the public, have a voice again. And I think this is only the beginning. I think that we see a city that's crumbling around us while everybody paints lines and fiddles while the city burns.
Yeah, I think you're right when you said that the city should have went into receivership. Thank you for watching Spindle City Straight Talk. Remember, we're going live in 1 week. We hope to see you there. Have a great day.